Hello everyone. Today we'll start with something new, that's programming language, and then we will dive deeper in the coming sections. So this is a very first section. In this we will introduce programming language. What is a programming language? So like we use English or any other native language to communicate with each other. This is how humans communicate. Same thing if we have to communicate with machine. For example, if we have to ask like perform some calculations or store or process some data or display some information to me, or I want some task that can be automated. For that purpose, we should be learning the programming language. And why we need the programming language? The thing is, computer don't naturally understand human language. They don't understand plain English. They don't understand Hindi, Punjabi, Spanish, French, or any other language. The only language that machine understands is zeros and ones. And if we have to write something in zeros and ones, it is very difficult to write everything in zeros and ones. That's why we need programming language so that we can write our code and read our code and we can manage the programs that we write easily. And what are the types of programming language? The very first type in the old days, from where this programming starts, was from the machine language. Machine language is known as the low level language and it is written in binary zeros and ones, and computer can understand directly the machine language. It is very fast but it's very hard to understand for the humans. So this is example. This is something that's written using zeros and ones and we don't understand it. And the second form of language is assembly language. So it uses some symbols. It is easier than the machine language, but it requires a translator called assembler to read it. So it is close to the hardware, like move A and B or add A and 5. So like adding 5. And then we were introduced to the high level programming language which we do use in day to day life, and it keeps in growing. It's growing now. Like we started with like Python, Java, C++, C sharp, JavaScript, PHP, and so many more. The advantage of using these languages is they're easy to read and write, they're easy to debug, and they're very fast to develop, and they're very suitable for the large language application. For example, if we have to ask machine to print the hello world, we can simply write print and the hello world. That's as simple as that. So there are other common categories of programming languages like procedural language. So if we have to write step by step language, we can use C, Pascal, and Basic. And so what this procedural language is basically, like for example, there is a food recipe. Only if we have to uh, follow the recipe step by step, then only we can reach to the final dish. That's what procedural language means. It's like following a certain steps. And then there are object oriented languages that are mainly used Java, C++, C sharp. This is like object and classes. And the functional languages are the languages that focus on functions and mathematical expressions like Haskell and Lisp, which we don't use currently majorly until and unless you have some job requirement to learn these languages. And there's some scripting languages as well that we write some scripts to automate some of the tasks for web development or for quick and easy task. Scripting can be using, we can like for the Excel purpose, if you have to script Excel, we can write macros. And if you're using Revit, if we have to script it, make it fast, we can use Dynamo. And same way we can write other scripting like Python, JavaScript, PHP, and Ruby. Okay, so we got little bit basic understanding what a programming language is, what are the types, and now coming to how does it work. So the human like language, the high level language that we call it, the code that we write in such a way that the computer can execute it. So first we start by writing the source code, which is known as instructions. We write the instructions first, like for example, a is equal to b equal to 3, and we are printing a plus b. That's we are printing the sum of both the digits. Once we write the source code, we put it in some file and the computer translates it. So computer doesn't understand high level language directly, like it won't understand what the print is. So the source code would be translated into a machine code, which is generally done by the compiler, interpreter, and assembler. So what is compiler? Compiler translates the entire program into machine code before execution. It translates the entire program. Examples of compiled languages are C, C++, and Go. Interpreter translates and executes the program line by line, for example, Python and JavaScript. And assembler translates the assembly language that we discussed above to a machine code. And then the execution, after the translation is done, the computer processor executes the instruction and procedures into the desired output. Like it will display your text on the screen and perform some calculations, or if you have done something related to the files like saving the files, or if you want like machine should respond to the user actions, so the execution part would be done. The simple working of a program is like we give it input, the processing is done, then we display the output. Like for example, we're giving input for 5 and 3. In the processing, we're just wanting machine to add these two numbers and display the output to us. So this is a very basic way how the computer programs work. And now there are so many popular programming languages that you should learn nowadays is Python, one of the very best, simple and beginner friendly language. It is so much in picture nowadays. It's used in AI, data science, and web development. Java, you should really learn Java if you're developing enterprise applications or doing your Android development. C Sharp C is a very powerful language, but most of the companies don't use it nowadays. But some of the companies that have their projects are in the old, very old, they use the C. This is a powerful language for the system programming. And C++ is basically used in game software and performance based application because C++ is gives us advantage on the performance. JavaScript, mainly if we want to go for the web development, we use JavaScript, and recently there is a TypeScript, React, Angular, and so many more. Yeah, the importance is like if we know how to use the programming language, we can write computer softwares, we can write mobile applications, we can write websites like we see Amazon's, Flipkart, all these websites are made using this programming language. Games, you might play lots of games, like for example PUBG is one of the my favorite game. It's also written using this programming language. Databases, like we sign into some applications and that data is stored somewhere, right? For example, you are having one ATM card and you want to draw some money. How that's being drawn from the ATM machine? Because your data, your identity is stored somewhere. So database is very important and integral part in case of the programming language, and we will talk more into details in the coming lectures. And if you want to design some automation systems or artificial intelligence, that's a very buzzword nowadays, for all these things you need to learn the programming language. Without programming language, it would be very hard for the humans to talk to the machines. We can't actually take any work from the machine if you don't know the programming language. So the conclusion is programming language is kind of a medium, kind of a way to interact humans with computers so that we can give instructions to the computers to perform our day-to-day task. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Do share, like and subscribe. Thank you.